Welcome back to my channel here at Valley View Farm. If you are new here, my name is Caitlin and I live on a 5th generation homestead. So as you can see, we got a bit of snow last night. We live here in Pennsylvania, so snow is pretty common, but we haven't had a good snow like this in a while. So I was just heading out to milk the cow. Her name is Clarabelle, and she's a sweetheart. We love her. She's a Jersey, so she gives us lots of cream, which means lots of butter. So the one thing that I'm very, very sad for is she is naturally starting to dry herself up. I was planning to milk her until the end of January, and I don't think we're going to make it there. So I'm enjoying what little bit of milk we are getting. I'm going to get some milk put in the freezer. That way, hopefully, I don't have to buy any from the store. And we can make it through the rest of the winter until she calves she's due on Easter. So I'm excited for that. Lots of fun things to look forward to in the spring. So this morning, I'm back in the house now. As you can see, I am peeling up some garden potatoes. We still have probably close to 50 pounds of potatoes still down in my pantry in the basement. I like to keep them down there, keeps them cooler, keeps them fresh longer. So this morning, I'm just making myself some breakfast. And I actually made too many potatoes, and funny enough, my husband called and needed me to drop lunch off to him. So I was glad that I made too many potatoes because I was able to then reheat up the leftover potatoes for him for lunch. I really enjoy having the fresh produce this time of year. I want to get better at that this next year. So I keep over onions and potatoes, but I would like to try to do garlic and also some carrots. So I've been learning about I want to can carrots as well. I like having them ready. I just need to reheat them, add a little brown sugar, and I have a side dish. But I really like to have the fresh produce. And I guess when I'm saying fresh, I mean not frozen, not canned. So it's not really fresh, but, it's been harvested, kept in a cold room type environment. I don't really have access to a cold room, but I have our basement, and it's dark down there. It's dry. It's cooler. So, I kind of use it as a cold room, but I would like to get better at my storage for that type stuff this year. So maybe let's just say that is my 2025 goal. So here's my breakfast. As you can see, very simple. We had Clarabelle's milk. I had some farm fresh eggs from our chickens, and then the potatoes, of course, from the garden. So now I am moving on in my day. My husband loves snickerdoodles, and he was really hungry this day, really needed a heavy lunch, and I know how much he loves snickerdoodles. So I decided I would surprise him when I took him lunch and make him his favorite cookies. And they were nice and warm, and I made them as double cookies, which is, in my opinion, even better because you're only eating one cookie, but it's really two cookies, but you only feel the guilt of eating one cookie. So that works in my book. So yes, that's what I'm doing here is making with the large cookie scoop. I think it's 2 tablespoons. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. I think it's 3 tablespoons is the big cookie scoop, but anyway, I was making him some snickerdoodles, so he appreciated them for sure. And then here I am cooking up some deer tenderloin. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just my husband, but let me know in the comments below if I'm not alone, because my husband not only loves to hunt, loves to shoot deer or elk or whatever the animal is, but he like constantly wants to eat it for dinner and eat it. Like, I don't know if it's like a guy thing where they're living off the land or what the deal is, because I'm good with my freezer beef and the pork, the pig that we have, the chickens that we butcher. I'm fine if I never eat deer in my life. Not that I don't like it, because I do. In fact, actually, on this day, I did make some extra tenderloin so that I had an easy lunch. But I just don't crave it like he does. Like, he always wants to eat the stuff that he, hunts down. So anyways, let me know down in the comments if your husband is like that. So once I made him his lunch, I didn't video this part, but I went ahead and dropped it off to him. He was very happy to see that he was having deer for lunch, and of course loved his snickerdoodles. So now I had some sourdough bread that I mixed up the night before, actually, and I was fermenting it, for the 12 to 15 hours on the counter. So I was doing that, and now I'm going to shape it. So I actually decided, because we're a family of 2, so we don't require that much bread, and I don't like to eat that much bread. So I decided to cut this in half and only make 1 loaf and use the other half to make some cinnamon rolls. That way we could have a quick and easy breakfast, for a couple days that week. So as you can see, I'm going to be shaping one of those loaves and putting it in the Banton basket. If you're new to sourdough, which I am somewhat new, I've been doing sourdough for about a year now, and I'm starting to get the hang of it, but there's definitely things that I could be better on. So basically with sourdough is it takes longer. Like, if you decide I want sourdough bread today, then you're probably not going to get to eat it today, because it takes time to ferment and sit. And of course you need your sourdough starter to be bubbly and active and all those things. So basically what I did was I pulled the dough and tightened the top of it, like made the top very tight. And then it's going to rise in that Banton basket for like 3 to 4 hours, and I'll bake it in the afternoon. Whenever you go to bake it, you will put it in a Dutch oven, a preheated Dutch oven with the lid on. I do 25 minutes with the lid on, 10 minutes with the lid off, but that's just what works for my oven. So what I'm doing here with the rest of the dough, I am making some cinnamon rolls. Those are definitely a family favorite. Because this is sourdough dough, it's a little bit stiffer just because it has been sitting, and I had it in the fridge for a few hours because I had to run the lunch to my husband and I didn't want it to be too fermented, so I put it in the fridge. So it's a little stiffer. As you can see, I'm like really putting some elbow grease in there. But I finally get it rolled out, and then I am just one of those people that measures with my heart. I don't always have a measurement for every little thing. So I just kind of smear some butter on there. I think I melted half a stick is what's in that cup. And I use almost all of it. So I just kind of sprinkle stuff on. So then I add my brown sugar, and again, I just sprinkle that. Same with the cinnamon, I sprinkle that on. I know that there's people that make a brown sugar cinnamon butter mixture and then like coat that onto their bread. I used to do it that way, and I quit doing it because I would always have extra. And then I would feel like, oh, I don't want it to go to waste. So I would put it on. And then when I went to roll it up, it was like a total disaster. It was like coming out the edges. It was just a mess. So I just do it this way. That way it kind of stays drier. Like the butter isn't too melty, and it's not like, I don't know. I just do it this way because it's just what I do. So it's what works for me. But then I can add as much or as little cinnamon as I want. And then, of course, you roll it up the short way. So that way you get as many rolls as you can. Now, on days where I'm making these for a large gathering, I'll roll it up the long way. And it's fine. It just doesn't have as many of the pretty curls in it. But it does give you more cinnamon rolls that way. So if you're needing more, then I would obviously advise rolling it up the long way. I learned this trick from another homemaker that I watch on YouTube. She cuts her cinnamon rolls with a string. I used to use butcher twine, and it's a little bit too thick. Like, it would do the same thing that a knife would. It would kind of smush the ends. So she said that she uses thread from like her sewing kit. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try this. I didn't have any fishing line or anything. So I thought, all right, I'm going to try the thread theory. And honestly, it worked pretty well. The only thing I would do different, which is kind of common sense, but I didn't think of it. So I use white thread and my countertop is white. So at one point I lost the thread, and yeah, that was kind of a mess. So I probably will use like a piece of black thread in the future. I feel like that would be better for me in my kitchen. But yeah, it really worked well, and you'll see how pretty that these cinnamon rolls turn out. They really look very picturesque. One thing that I always do with my cinnamon rolls is I like to put, whether it's cream or milk, just something liquidy, a little bit in the bottom of the pan. So I kind of like sprinkle it through the cinnamon rolls. Those cinnamon rolls will suck up that moisture, and they are so fluffy. Like, they turn out, they're not doughy, but they're very soft, and they are just so good. Like, it literally turns out like a bakery cinnamon roll. So that's just like a little hack that I've found. Plus, they're easier to get out of the pan usually, and they're not like as stuck to the pan, which is helpful in the cleanup process. So as you guys know, if you've been following along on my channel, as I'm cooking, I try to keep up with the dishes. There is nothing worse than finishing a meal and turning around and your sink is piled up with dishes. I hate that feeling because you're at least another hour till you can get to relax. And so I really just try to keep up with it as I'm going. And I really love, especially winter homemaking, because if it's snowing outside or it had already snowed, I can kind of watch out the window as I'm washing dishes. And it's just so peaceful. I have a bird feeder actually right outside my window right there. And so even in the winter, like the cardinals come, the mourning doves. So I can still see birds, and I just love winter homemaking. It's just such a cozy time of the year. So as you guys know, I try to take a natural approach when I can. I'm not fully natural, but I try to be as natural as I can. You're never gonna eliminate every toxin, but I try to where I can. So one of those areas, if you can see on my sink, you see the little like wooden pallet with a brown bar of soap on it. I started buying local soap. Number one, I enjoy supporting local businesses, especially small business and other farmers. And this was like a win-win for me. So it's a natural made olive oil soap. It's actually honey, oatmeal, olive oil, and I think there's like one other thing in it. And it's soap. So we use this in everything. I've been integrating it into my home. It's not good for washing dishes just because of the oils that are in it. You don't want your dishes to be like oily. But it's great for washing hands. We use it in our shower, so that has completely replaced our body wash at this point. You can even use it as shampoo. My hair, it didn't work as well, but it did work for my husband. So sometimes he uses it, I think, just for convenience, because he can just like wash all over with one thing and be done. I wish us women weren't as complicated as we are, because I feel like I can't do that. So I do still have my shampoo and conditioner, but I have been using that bar soap for my body, and I feel like this winter my skin hasn't been so dry. So it's been better. It's better for me. It's cheaper and it's natural. So it's a win-win. The other thing that we use that bar soap for is for washing our milk cow's sack. It works great. It moisturizes her, doesn't dry her out. It cleans her very well. So I've been very happy with that purchase and probably going to get some more. The other thing I wanted to note is that I did wipe my counters off with vinegar. I switched about a year and a half ago to using all vinegar. Like, I don't do any kind of wipes or anything like that. I do all vinegar. So definitely would recommend that. So here you can see my cinnamon rolls are done. They came out of the oven. They're still hot. I put the icing. I made like a cream cheese frosting, homemade, and poured on them, and they were delicious. So definitely recommend the sourdough cinnamon rolls. They were amazing, delicious. That is all for today. I hope you felt inspired, and I look forward to seeing you next time.